Hello and welcome to a review of Veronica Mars. I'm Paul.
And I'm Dave.
And this week we're discussing the episode Heads You Lose. Alright, so in this episode, after the second bombing, it is announced that one person died and 12 were injured. Veronica goes to Chino prison to find out more about the connection between Clyde, Richard Casablancas, and Perry Walsh. She talks to guys that she put in prison back in the day, and it's a fun little. We get to see some people from the old series. We get Mercer and we get Tim, who are both of the main bad guys in season 3. They disclosed the truth about Clyde and Dick. They were close in prison with Clyde as Dick's protector, but Clyde actually conned Dick into thinking he needed a protector, knowing that Dick was rich and one day he would return the favor with money after prison. Clyde's plan seems to have worked. The guys at Chino also reveal that Perry and Dick worked together in the library, so they knew each other. This information adds to Veronica and Keith's theory that Dick planned the bombings so that it would become less of a spring break destination. Also, so that the businesses would sell their properties for cheap in order for Dick to buy up all the beachfront property. Keith started interviewing beachfront property owners to find out that they were all being harassed. People were putting graffiti on walls, pooping in ice buckets, the normal kind of thing that you see at spring break. Wait a minute. This, in addition to the bombings, convinced several of the business owners to start selling off their properties to get out of Neptune. Keith also finds out that many of the business owners were in a resistance group led by Sol Ross, who was the owner of the Sea Sprite Hotel, who were fighting against Nut, which is a terrible name, but whatever. There was a third bombing at the beach. A boy who was seen spiking girls' drinks with drugs woke up the morning after on the beach with a bomb strapped to his neck. He freaked out, tried to disable it, and then it blew up and blew his head clean off. I don't know. I don't feel so bad for him. Veronica has a long lunch with Leo, where they start to do a bit of investigating in the hardware store, which sells nails similar to the ones found in the bomb. There, they see Clyde buying something. They decide to follow him and see him go to Mars Investigations, of all places, where he has a meeting with Keith. Veronica and Leo walk into the office to find Keith and Clyde drunk after drinking whiskey for several hours. Keith claims it's all for the investigation because he's good at his job, but Veronica can tell that he's starting to like Clyde as a friend. At a local council meeting, Penn speaks before the crowd, pointing the finger at Richard Casablancas and Clyde. He says to vote against Nut, the crowd goes wild, and Big Dick and Clyde are furious. The two cartel members, Dottie and Alonzo, kill Tawny Carr's brothers per request of Congressman Daniel Maloof, but one makes it alive, unbeknownst to these cartel fellows. A passerby later sees one of the brothers with his hands tied in a deserted area with 2 bloody wounds visible. So, what do we think of this episode, Mr. David?
With this one, just kind of the case of particular ideas kind of building up and shifting a little bit, with sort of the first case being solved, but nothing really being solved. And then just the case of, it snowballing a decent amount. And just not so much that the case of with the multitude of different things within the story, but just the case of everything. It's kind of the case of with most of the particular things, it might all come to a specific head, but doesn't quite immediately connect in certain sort of ways. But just how everything's kind of been going now with the hell raising that happened at the meeting with again with character names, the specific character going against the politician at the time, getting the crowd and whatnot riled up of bombings happening and people taking up storefronts and whatnot, but then also concerns with the cartel and whatnot, having all those incidents sort of happening, the money flow and other sort of stuff sort of happening, and just there's just a whole bunch of things that will possibly cause some stuff to happen within the series, I'm most certainly sure.
Yeah, so a couple of kind of important things happen in this episode, I think. So obviously we
Hmm.
get that a bunch of people get pissed off during the council meeting because Penn accuses Richard Casablancas and Clyde of at least knowing who the bomber is or potentially being the ones who set it up and using that to buy property on the cheap. Also, Leo comes back to town and he now works for the FBI.
Yeah, with that particular point. And also the marvelous interactions between him and Logan when Veronica's not home to meet up with him.
Yes, it's very good. Uh, and one of Tawny's brothers we find out is still alive after we thought that he was murdered last episode. So I'm sure that won't come back to
Mm.
bite anybody in the ass.
Oh no, of course not. Just, and I'm sure he's fine. The horrible trauma of nearly getting killed by a person, walk it off. It'll be perfectly fine. He won't want revenge.
Yeah, no, of course not. So, do you have any prime suspect about who the bomber is? We're halfway through the season now. So, who do you have your eye on?
Again, it's kind of the case of having an eye on just about everyone within the series for specifics of things kind of going on. And I think with one particular thing, not sure if we made too much of a point with it, but within the episode of the political family having concerns, the wife had concerns of the ring still being missing. Guess who she decided to bring onto the case
Oh,
to help out
yes.
with that?
She ends up hiring Vinny, who I'm sure will be a very good PI and not just take their money.
You know, marvelous work. The amount of time that he'll most likely be working on the case will be understandable. He'll probably figure things out. It will be easy for him, I'm sure. I'm sure.
Yes. So, do you have a chief suspect so far, or are you kind of still not sure?
Not really specifically. Like I think out of all the specific characters, it was again double checking with the list, but the gentleman that Keith is keeping an eye on that he had drinks with in the his
Clyde.
office. Yes, with him. That he I don't think he's specifically the one that is setting the bombs, but has his hands closest and most related to it.
Okay. Okay.
The only other characters that I other really kind of have not so much with the bombing or other specific things is the couples of specific people that the again just I didn't write it down for the other group that was helping Veronica and them, the other mystery solvers
Oh,
for the
murder heads or whatever they're called.
yes with the murder heads and whatnot. There's the gentleman that usually speaks on the computer that discusses about things. Again, it's one of the cases of doesn't seem to have too much of a case within the story, but it's still one of the cases of with typical speaking role and just with other things that he sort of mentions and discusses about. There may be something, but whether or not it's within the full game or plot of the story or whatnot, not too specifically sure. But I think as it sits, it's not so much a case of who I specifically know or think the bomber is, since I don't think it's a character that's specifically been revealed as of yet. It's
Okay.
still one of the things that they're kind of hiding until there's a slight character introduction within the next couple of episodes of being the someone specifically who is setting the bomb.
Okay. So, also, we didn't. I forgot to mention. We do get. You know, I think last episode we had one as well, but this episode we have a meeting of. I think they're called the Mystery Heads, and this one involves Penn having bought a 6 foot sub.
Yeah,
And
Like in some cases, it can somewhat understand, but also kind of the case of boy.
And we do find out that the guy on the computer, I don't remember his name, but he does suspect that Veronica may have killed Lily Kane. Yes, he does mention that because he says something about like the wound on Lily Kane's head had to have been done by somebody the same height or shorter, and then everybody kind of looks at Veronica. So yeah, he's probably real rational.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, if there's nothing else about this episode, next week we'll be discussing the episode Losing Streak. Alrighty. So, Veronica's going to discover that Keith has been hiding something pretty scary from her. The real reason for Penn's latest theory on the bomber comes to light, and Veronica is going to lose confidence in one of her new friends. Mm-hmm. Yes, yes, yes. Alrighty. Well, if there's nothing else, I've been Paul.
And I've been Dave.